You're listening to Viking Radio, coming to you from Dream Street Studios at Del Mar College.
Hello, I'm your host, Dr. Natalie Chapa. And joining me today in the studio is our Del Mar College Board Chair, Ms. Carol Scott.
Hello.
Welcome, Carol.
Thank you.
And we also have joined us at the same time, the other part of the duo is Mr. Mark Scott, City of Corpus Christi Councilman at large, currently serving at large for the city. Welcome, both of you. Thanks so much for being here.
And generally recognized as Carol's eye candy. So just so we know, that's my
I didn't know if that was formal, informal. It's an unspoken
Is
thing.
it? Yeah. I'll go
we,
with that.
we know.
It's good to be here.
I always laugh that when the word board chair gets bantied around the community college world, and people are always wondering, does that mean that she's a boring chairman of the Board of Regents, or people are bored around her, but chair of the Board of Regents is what that means when people say board chair. I'm very bored in my chair.
The head of the board.
There we go.
And so, it's kind of funny because we'll have, during our board meetings, and somebody will for the first time, will go up to present. And then all of a sudden they realize that detail. And it's like, wait,
how do I address her?
How do I address her? Right. Madam Chair, Mrs. Chair,
I just call her boss. Yeah. Ma'am.
Boss?
Ma'am.
I'm like, no, that's for Mark. That's
in
for
fact,
the Marks.
a councilwoman this week, I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, don't call me ma'am. I went, that's what I say to my wife. It's a term of endearment, I thought. Yeah.
That's right.
Don't you ma'am me.
All right.
Well, I know there's so much going on in the city, right? You two have been leaders in the city for years. I really feel like helping to develop a lot of the big initiatives and ideas going on here at the city, at the college. Carol, you were on the Corpus Christi ISD school board for many years as well,
yes.
Also chairing that board. We're in interesting times. And so we're also wrapping up the year with Leadership Corpus Christi, which is a division of the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce. And it really does represent our leaders in the community and bringing people up. And you have been a big part of that for many years. So I thought it would be so great because you're getting asked questions all about water and the Spurs.
I have an interview after this.
Go Spurs, go.
Yeah. Go Spurs, go. Yeah. But I thought leadership right now, especially for those leaders coming up, right, is so important. And so talk to me a little bit about what that means for you. Where does that come from you?
I'll answer first because both of us were raised in families that had a lot of things going on. I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and my mom went to school and then was teaching school while I was elementary, middle school, high school age.
She was a Del Mar College Viking.
She was a Del Mar College Viking, went 3 semesters here and then transferred to A&I, now A&M Kingsville, and got her bachelor's and master's in education. And so there was always a lot going on in my household with 4 kids in sports and all the things that happen when you have young children in the home. And one of the ways that I differentiated myself amongst my siblings was around student involvement. And so I was the one who was in student council and was part of what was then called the Leo Club. I don't know if the JCs still, or the Lions Club, if Lions Club still have Leo clubs in high schools and those kinds of things. So I was always the person who was getting involved in stuff like that. Same thing through college. And when Mark and I got married and moved to Corpus Christi, we found this thing through the Chamber of Commerce called Corpus Christi Insight, got interested in what was happening at the Chamber, and then our careers progressed to a place where we could both apply for Leadership Corpus Christi. So for us, for me, it was a natural progression and an entree as a young professional to get more involved in the city.
Now, when you first met your eye candy,
yes.
Yeah.
In college.
Was he the well-polished leader?
This is my turn.
I'll let him tell that story.
I tell this story a lot, and it's a true story. So I was really active in elementary school. I was 4th grade, student body, And we started a new school, so we got to pick the mascot, and
Nice.
it's really cool. That's
Which school was that?
It's Harold Elementary School in Kingsville, and
In
it
Kingsville,
was a
okay.
school in the round. It was so cool, which I think they recently closed. And I've been trying to get those original documents because I don't think they need them. Anyhow, so I was really an introvert in high school. I mean, I was really introverted. It would take way too long to figure out why, but I joined.
Is he being serious this
being
time?
serious. Yeah.
Okay, this
Serious.
time we're being serious. Okay.
I remember going. First of all, I'm hypoglycemic, and my mother was trying to pump me full to be of carbohydrates to grow as a basketball player, and so I had some. I mean, I just didn't feel well most of the day because I had these sugar crashes. But I remember going into class.
She didn't know it at the
No,
time.
yeah,
Right,
She wasn't
yes.
trying to kill me. At least I don't think she was. We should ask her
That's
tonight.
maybe.
Yeah. So.
We'll have her on next week.
But I remember going to class, and when the teacher would say, hey, we're going to go down the rows asking questions, I would start to do the math to see if it would get to me. Because if I thought it might get to me, I would start to get very nervous. For whatever reason, very introverted, very shy. Go to college, join a fraternity, Sigma Chi, and I'm a huge fan of Sigma Chi. And so as part of your pledgeship, you have to meet all the actives, right? So this buddy of mine, Jimmy Garrick, who's still in Kingsville, I saw him last week. Jimmy and I go to the president's house, right? To get his signature, right? So the door opens. He immediately ignores me because I'm a nobody. And he starts talking to Jimmy because Jimmy was a player. Well, what happened was I looked past him as he was telling Jimmy and I, hey, look, I'm on a date tonight. It's a bad night. Just come again next week. And I look and I see the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. And so the door shuts and I turn to Jimmy and he goes, no. I said, what? He goes, you're going to ask me her name? I went, yeah. And he goes, Mark, I'm not going to tell you. I said, why? He says, here's the important part. You will never date her because she only dates leaders. And somewhere in my little pea brain, I went, well, how hard can it be? Let's go be a leader. I became president of all kinds of things, was awards of all things, got to date Carol Alexander, and the rest is history.
there we go.
I blame it on.
This summer will be 42 years marriage, 46 years together.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
The first couple off and on. Yeah. Anyhow, that's my story, and that's how I got into leadership, was thinking, hey, I got to impress a girl. And the reality is leadership isn't rocket science, Half the battle is just deciding to get engaged and then being aware of what it, being educated. And then if you ask enough of the right questions, the answer just pops out. I really do think it does.
So
And so you just have to be committed to asking the right question, listening to the world around you, involving others. Once you get the right answer, being willing to act on it, which incidentally is part of an interview later today, and the city's failure to act on solutions once we find them. So,
And so when you moved here to Corpus and you said you found this leadership program, it kind of fit with where you were as young professionals, starting your careers here in the city.
Yes, I was working for American Heart Association at the time, and was able to apply for. In fact, we applied the same year.
Okay, you got to share that.
And I did, and I got in the class 1 year before he did because they wouldn't accept husband. They still don't accept husband and wife in the same class. And so I technically got in a year before he did. But I did get in. I was on the wait list, and I thought I had missed my shot. And
Oh,
Tom
really? You were on the
Niscala-
wait list?
Yeah, and
I
Tom
didn't know
Niscala called. He was the general chair.
I called somebody for you.
And
No, not true. Not true.
And what year was that? What class?
class
was-
16.
16. Okay, so you were 17.
I was class 17.
Okay.
Yeah. Not the best class ever, incidentally. We had a lot of fun in 17. Did some great things. Fred Heldenfels and I were two of the two people that met with Kingsville and wrote the law, the legislation that became a four-year university. So we did some good things here in Corpus, but we had a lot of fun.
And you have stayed involved with Leadership Corpus
I have.
Christi. So I was class 44, I think, and 44, best of the best.
There you go.
That's what we were told.
Okay.
That's
No
what
argument.
Dr. Hernandez, our chair, said. So I'm not saying it. He said it.
Incidentally, I was president of the Alumni Association. It just happened to be decades ago before we could read and write. So it's not, I don't even think it's on any document.
stone.
But yeah, it was on stone. Somebody dropped it. So, yeah.
And so you've also chaired
Correct. Yeah, so I was on the steering committee in class 22, and chaired class 23. Have stayed off and on. One of the things that Mark and I have done to get, and then subsequently, I am now chair of the Leadership Corpus Christi Advisory Committee.
Yes.
So we could talk about that evolution, but it's basically a oversight and policy group that kind of works between the Chamber of Commerce Foundation Board and the Leadership Corpus Christi program. So there's somebody that's looking at all the policies and procedures and looking at the strategy and are we providing the resources we need, et cetera. So it's a kind of go-between between the foundation board.
And all volunteers.
All volunteers, absolutely. One of the things that Mark and I have stayed involved doing really since class 22, so now off and on, but more on than off, we have been doing the History of Corpus Christi timeline at either the orientation or opening retreat for Leadership Corpus Christi for now over 30 years.
So I have had the privilege of seeing it 4 times.
All right.
And it is my favorite.
It's fun.
Partially too because y'all are such a great team and you banter off of each other, which I love, but also the information that you provide us because there's not a lot of people who can give us that history, and we're now into Gen Z.
Yeah.
We're now into class 55. They are class
50.
54, just graduated, and they're in the selection process, and we'll be announcing class 55 very shortly.
And so that part has been so much fun, seeing you, but also giving that to Leadership Corpus Christi. I don't know if the audience realizes how structured and how intentional the curriculum, the ideas behind LCC. It's significant. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So Leadership Corpus Christi for probably the first 15 years or so, 20 years, was about who is in leadership and what can you learn from other leaders in kind of panel discussions, fireside chats, those kinds of things. Maybe some skills development, facilitation skills, learning about yourself. We introduced the ropes course was introduced, I think, in class 16.
Yes.
And
so fun.
Yeah.
So learning about yourself and your own personal growth in that. And then as a group of us, really thanks to American Bank back in the day, gave a multi-year grant to Leadership Corpus Christi to take us to the national convention for like 3 years in a row.
Oh, wow.
The Alumni Association leaders, incoming steering committee chairs and members attended this national convention. And we learned about this curriculum called community trusteeship and the ability to implement that in leadership programs across the nation. So we brought that back and implemented it here, and it's really been the foundation and the backbone of the curriculum since then. And the concept is that all of us are community trustees, and however you define community, you don't abdicate that work to a few elected or selected members of the community, that we all have a role to play in that. And that role might manifest itself in education, it might manifest itself in community organizations, it might manifest itself in an elected position or
Possibly,
appointed
right.
positions, but that we all have an opportunity through church, soccer leagues, Boy Scouts,
That's right.
Any number of things to make decisions for the greater good, to hold those organizations in our community in trust, and to try to make decisions that will benefit the whole, will benefit the common good.
And that strategy, if you look at the individuals serving on boards, serving on council, house reps, if you look at our leadership, like you said, from grassroots spread all across, somebody from Leadership Corpus Christi is there or has been there and has been part of it. So it's a very strong program. I believe we're the 4th oldest in the country.
We are the third oldest in the
okay.
country, and there's an argument between us and Beaumont on who started in Texas first, but they actually skipped a couple of years.
Yeah,
so
so they're
we're
not continuous.
the longest continuously running program in Texas, and I think the third oldest in the U.S.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And only because we're always hearing about the negative parts of Corpus so much, And so when something positive comes up, I think it's really important to celebrate. We'll be right back.
This is where it all starts, where dreams take off and what's next becomes clear. This is Heritage Campus at Del Mar College, home to core classes in arts, sciences, and business, with upgraded facilities and faculty who provide a quality education that transfers with you wherever you're headed. This is a place of creativity, possibility, and success. A place to excel, a place to grow. This is where you belong. Learn more at dmcdreams.com.
This is Viking Radio.
Again, we're here with Councilman Mark Scott and Del Mar College Board Chair Carol Scott, talking today a little bit about Leadership Corpus Christi and the legacy that it has built here in the city in terms of leadership and how the Scotts have been personally involved in their lives. I want to switch a little bit now. This is a topic that we've been talking about with other guests in terms of leadership now in the city. There's so much going on. A lot of it has been negative. Councilman Scott, you have been right in the middle of it in city council. And I think if you're a Gen Z, a millennial, and you're climbing here in the city in terms of growth and leadership opportunities, what do you feel like is important for these groups to know and to learn?
Well, what I tell people when they come, and not everybody comes to see me, of course, but when somebody comes says, "Hey, I want to get involved," or "I want to run for city council," I said, "Look, again, what I said earlier, which is if you're engaged, you ask a lot of questions, you listen to other input, you kind of whittle it down, the right answer will pop out. The question is, and you hope that the right answer is good public policy, but you also hope it's good politics." Right? You work really hard to find the right answer that everybody goes, okay, that makes sense. The question you have to ask yourself, when that day comes, when the right answer is great public policy, but terrible politics, i.e. some of the water conversations, what are you going to do? And if you're not willing to make the right public policy decision, please don't run. Please don't get engaged. Please don't get in this if you don't have the fortitude to do the right thing. And I promise you, I of course, I've been in city council a long time, but I can name the times, and I just said, nope, I'm doing this because it's the right thing. I actually had somebody come see me years ago and sit down with me and said, let me tell you something. You're going to change your position, or I'm going to have 5 people file an ethics complaint against you. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to have 5 people file a motion to remove you. And I was proud of myself. I said, look, I'm not going to change that position. I believe I'm right. I think the comment I made was that my heart is pure. I feel good about this. And incidentally, side note, he did exactly what he said he was going to do. So in fairness to him, he wasn't kidding.
He was not.
I always thought it was interesting, and this is as far as I'll go. He was a member of the Ethics Commission. I thought that was interesting for an Ethics Commission member coming to me and saying, hey, I'm going to have somebody file an ethics complaint, and I'm on the commission. In fairness to this person, he said, I will, of course, recuse myself.
Of course.
Oh, my goodness. My point is, that's what I share with people. The other thing that's new to the new is to don't read it all, right? I have developed the ability. I think it's worse on family members. In fact, we went to an announcement last night, and I've spent time with the husband to say thank you, and you don't know why I'm saying thank you, but you're gonna know why. Because I don't read that stuff. I just don't. I don't want to get in trouble with the media, but I don't watch a lot of news, parts, and I don't read a lot of stuff because I think it will wear you down.
It does. Yeah.
And so that's my other thing is try to avoid reading what people think about you,
Which
unless
I think,
it's brilliant.
Which is challenging because, right, with now, everything is on social media. And there's a comment, it doesn't matter who you are, gives you that opportunity.
To try to gauge in the real life as a public affairs professional, I am reading the comments. I'm trying to help gauge public sentiment around an issue, whether it's something that I'm working on in another county. So it is difficult when part of my job is to understand that public sentiment. I approach the question you ask about what advice or what suggestions might I have for somebody entering the world of politics in public policy. There are really no black and white answers.
Yeah,
there are.
Yeah.
It's
right.
There
you wish there were.
You wish there were, and
Yes.
the times that there are, that's great. But you've got to dig in and understand the issue. You've got to understand the impacts. You've got to understand the frame of reference that other people have looking at that issue that is different than your own. If you are only listening to your echo chamber of those who you see every day at breakfast, or your little pack of friends, if that's the only frame of reference you have on an issue, then you're probably not making the best decision. I'm not saying you're making a wrong decision, but you're probably not making the best decision you can. If you cannot broaden your span of awareness and really seek to understand the different frames in which decisions are made, or the different impacts that decision might have on other people, then you're probably not making the best decision that you can. So you have to broaden your span of awareness.
And simply listen to the other side.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You may not you may not agree with it.
I will tell you that the other thing I think it's fun being in public policy making. And one of the quirks of my nature is to study and memorize speeches and poems, and O Me, O Life, and the last stanzas, that life exists and you are here, the powerful play moves on and you may contribute a verse. And that's what's exciting, right?
Yes.
The powerful play moves on and you get to contribute a verse.
So I heard something similar the other day, in that we feel like we should be making some major change and movement, but that in a society takes time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And it ebbs and flows. And that really stayed with me, because I think sometimes it's like, why am I here? Why am I putting all my time and energy? And again, this is both of your positions. They're elected positions, but pay-wise, that's not really there.
Yeah. I did the math one time, and it ended up being like I get $500 a month. And so I will say to that, hey, look, you pay me $500 a month. If you don't like my decision, if you paid me $1,000, you might get a better decision. So that's the joke. I did the math one day. It ended up being like $2.93. I said, don't do the math. Don't do the math.
So you're making way more.
He's making way more than I am. That's right.
Ching.
That's right.
I'm bringing home the bacon and the Scott family.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, my
You don't do
school
it for the
board
money.
and Del Mar College are both non-paid elected positions.
I do get free parking downtown, and I get to park underneath the arena and the Hilliard Center. So there's that.
Oh yeah, he's.
In fact,
beating
Carol's
big
mad.
time.
She thinks Del Mar should get the same treatment, that we should allow her to park.
That's right, all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why you're just not using his.
Because
That's
it's not
another
right.
story.
It's an ethical problem. Although when I went off the last time, because you also get free parking at the airport, man, I thought long and hard about that. Like a couple weeks off the council, we go on a trip, and I go, would they really know? Would they really know?
Yes, they would.
I did
yes,
not
they
use
would.
it.
Yes, they
I
would.
have not abused that privilege. So.
So you've talked a lot about kind of what brought you up through leadership and giving advice. And the couple of things that you've talked about is listening. Mm-hmm. Like that one keeps coming up, is just really being able to listen to other people. That can be really hard. I think that's probably one of the most difficult things for people, because your mind is going and you're ready to shoot back and say something back, and you've got your answer, but that doesn't really work a lot of the times.
And the sheer volume of comments and the sheer volume of information on some projects can be overwhelming. When you say listen, and there's hundreds of emails or 50 phone calls on an issue, you may be able to understand the sentiment and divide those into buckets of some kind and try to get a sense of where people are. And so, but it's ultimately not if 99 people call me and say one thing and 47 people call me and say something else, I'm going to do what the 99 people say. I'm not saying that, because you can't base it on that kind of count. It doesn't even. Yeah, right. It's not a popularity contest. Right. And when I say listen, I'm not yes to individuals, but listen to different points of view. Make sure you are understanding the different ways to approach an issue, and that you're understanding the technical information. And if you don't understand the technical information, find people who do and ask
Get
the
help.
questions, get help.
Absolutely.
Respect your staff, respect the framework from which staff is bringing you information. In both of our positions, we hire highly competent professional individuals who are experts in Mark's case, water or police or wastewater systems or planning and development or parks, whatever the case may be. In my case, when we're talking about education, both on the finance and budgeting side, on the instructional side, policy side, administration, facilities, I have to trust the individuals. That doesn't mean I don't question and I don't ask questions for clarification or understanding or even to challenge assumptions. But in all of that, you have to broaden your span of awareness. So it's listening to individuals, but it's also listening for information that may be different from my bias or my mindset to make sure that I'm making the best decision that I can.
And I'm always listening to people to fact check my position. I mean, I think for the most part, I do my homework, especially if you've deliberated it for weeks or months or in some cases years. But I'm always looking for somebody to say something to go, wait a minute, I hadn't thought about that. And then you kind of fact check it mentally, go, nope, okay, check the mark. Or, I got to send
But
that to somebody.
you listened and you thought about it.
Yeah.
And it's an honor for me to live in this community, and I have learned so much from both of you. I continue to learn from both of you in terms of leadership. I have one parting question before we go. If you could have been anything in the whole wide world, what would you have been?
Oh, a Broadway singer.
Oh.
I would have chucked it all and gone to Broadway and just sung my heart out.
Oh, that's a great answer.
I think
why
you probably could
that's why
now,
we
my love. You
connect.
probably could now.
Mark Scott?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd be an NBA basketball player. I love the game. I think I'd be.
Yeah.
If all I had to do was be another, foot taller and 50 pounds and could shoot a shot. Other than that,
you were there.
Oh, I'm right there.
What team would you have been on?
Oh, I love my Spurs. Yeah,
Gotta go Spurs.
I think I've been a Spurs fan as long as I can remember. I grew up as a Cowboy fan. Football and. We used to have a team back in the 90s.
They were good.
Right.
I remember those boys.
The good
Dumb
thing about
boys.
Texas is the Cowboys were good, and then
right.
and then the Spurs were good, and then when they kind of waned, the Astros were good.
That's
and
right.
Now they're having an off year, so our Spurs are good.
have come back.
Right. Yeah, I think that would be me.
Carol, what is your favorite Broadway show? Do you have one? That's a hard question.
That's
right?
a hard
I
question.
couldn't answer it either.
Yeah. New, old. Yeah.
I know,
that's
right? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
But I love these answers, and
So-
yes to both of you.
Yeah. My greatest NBA moment was I got a chance to see the world champion Lakers playing somebody. Doesn't matter. They were the world champions. This is in the 80s. And all of a sudden, everybody starts to clap, and they're still playing. And you look across the way, and there's Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And 18,000 people stood up to clap for one guy while the world champion Lakers, I went, that guy's got some So maybe I wish I was Muhammad Ali too.
That was a legacy.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yep.
Thank you all so much for joining me today on the show. I would love to have you back to talk about a million other things. So would you come back at another time?
Certainly.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
This is Viking Radio. This show is a production of Del Mar College.